the argument is that there's a certain part of the literature on globalization that tells us that it's going to be a smooth and perfect development, right? A smooth transition from from local into global. However, we've seen that this transition is not exactly always that smooth and scientific, and mistakes and errors of judgments are actually happening during this process. This is where, just to go back to what you were saying about our interest in globalization and stupidity, this is exactly the link we are looking for. We don't necessarily think that stupidity or errors are necessarily bad things. They're just things that are part of the way in which develop projects. But architects have always been quite good at getting the best out of what was considered a mistake or an initial error.
Do you think it's a
just the errors here?
Is this an overcam? No.
Oh, I haven't seen a single woman.
We want to have the best because nobody remembers number 2, everybody remembers number 1. You know, which makes sense.
If you tackle from a rational point of view, each of the Palms project is simply impossible to build. But there we go. You know, they are building it. So it is also this kind of error of judgment that can be turned around and become quite an exceptional opportunity.
Do you have any assumption, like how many people are actually going to live here?
15,000 people.
But some of them might live somewhere else and just have it as a second home.
If occupied. When occupied?
15,000.
15,000.
But you don't know that.
Sorry?
You don't know if it will be occupied to that degree.
Well, we will sell it.
What's your sort of thoughts on retaining identity?
Of Dubai?
Yeah.
Is there a strong identity in Dubai already?
Yeah.
It seems that it's being fabricated at the moment.
Well, the identity, you've got to remember this, it is an Arabic country, you know, and it has, in a way, you can determine the future with Westernism quite easily, because it's an easy format to follow. But, you know, to retain the cultural link with traditions I would say, is quite important.
So the wind towers actually have any use in the ventilation or cooling system?
They used to historically. Today, no, they're just
What then would you say would be then some of the other side that could be some of the fallbacks of having or trying to create a truly global city?
But if I have 2 kids here, where do they go to school?
Dubai, at the end of the day, you have connections to all the areas from here.
Well, but today...
By the way, you know, Burj Dubai, when we get there, I will explain to you a few things about it. Over 520 meters, it's going to be over 800 meters. Let's just say, okay, for God's sake, let's say that it's going to be about 830 meters. But on that tower, over 530 meters, there's nothing but concrete and steel.
Even if you're a global player, you have to have an identity within the global scheme of things. I mean, that's my only...
Do you specify lifespan for buildings and the building materials for the other?
Certainly, I think there's you know, this losing in the fact that, you know, that very much of the global city is about loosening up all these regulations and allowing a different, very kind of liberal economic structure that carries with it certain kind of political problems in the long run.
Oh my God!
this idea of network of global cities or global businesses then gets grafted onto a local context, and sometimes the results might be not exactly very coherent, right? Some areas of the cities just are conceived to be part of this network, and therefore are closer maybe to London, to New York, to LA, rather than to Abu Dhabi.
Okay. We've just got a couple of minutes
So
left.
how will you translate?
Roberto. Yeah.
I want to know how you're going to translate. Well, we'd like to see how you translate it.
It'll be a research, a report that will be
Who's going to do it?
available
I mean,
to...
is everybody going to write their own version?
The ultimate outcome is to have a proposal, like an architectural project based in London. But one of the skills that we want to try to develop through the studio is also how you can portray your proposal through an image, and that is where
In a global context.
in a global context, yeah.
Okay. That's a great idea, actually.